Hello, I'm Lane Jordan Verde, along with Dr. Lisa Burkhart Worley, and welcome to Pop Talk. It's the show where you never know what topics might pop up. Israel has had a lot of turmoil, as you know, ever since October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked, killed, and took Israelis hostage, some of whom are still being held. Now, recently, the state of Israel dealt with many strikes from Iran after the Israel Defense Forces took out some of their scientists as well as some nuclear weapons facilities. So, when there is an emergency or terror attack in the land, who handles it? Lisa will introduce someone who will explain the emergency response system in the Holy Land.
Well, thank you so much, Lane. Our guest today is Natalie Sopinsky. I met Natalie at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, where we just started a chat in a hallway, and I found out all about her important work in the land of Israel. So I thought that we should have her as a guest on Pop Talk Radio. Natalie represents 150 communities in Judea and Samaria as Director of Development for Hatzalah, Yehuda and Shamron, part of an Israeli volunteer organization of medics, paramedics, and doctors committed to saving lives called Hatzalah Without Borders. Now, let me tell you, the Hebrew word Hatzalah means rescue. It is the main United States charity for emergency medical needs in the Jewish heartland. Natalie also hosts a weekly radio program called Returning Home on Israel News Talk Radio. In addition, she's a lawyer and lifeguard, the mother of 5 children, and a pistol-wearing, hitchhiking settler living in the Hebron Hills of Israel. Natalie has 3 sons serving in the IDF as well. She's also a Delaware native. We were just close by, Lane and myself, in Philadelphia. And that's where she was raised, in an all-American, conservative Jewish family. Natalie, we just want to welcome you to Pop Talk, and I'm so glad that we ran into each other at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. Let me just start by asking you, where in the Hebron Hills do you live? Because let's narrow it down.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lane, for having me on the show. And it's really great to be talking to you, even though I am so far away. I am in Hebron Hills right now. I live in a place called Susia. It's a yeshuv, a community of about 200 families. We're the biggest yeshuv in this area. There are 25 of us from Hebron all the way down to Beersheba. That is the southern part of, like, keep going south of Jerusalem. And they call the North Negev.
So why don't we go ahead and start with an explanation of why a volunteer organization like this is needed in Judea and Samaria?
Great question. Judea and Samaria is known also as the West Bank. And some people even call it the occupied West Bank or the illegal West Bank. So since the war of 1967, when we won or reclaimed this land, we won it in the defensive war in 1967, the state of Israel has been quite slow to develop it and act like winners. This is a problem Israel has, all right? So they were slow to develop, and Jews were living here. Many Arabs are living here. There are many more Arabs than Jews. And back then, if something happened, when there was terror back then, I'm saying just the year 2000, not so long ago, when there was a terror attack, the rescuers of the country they were very, very slow to respond. They needed permission. They needed authorization because it was still, not so part of the country. They didn't treat it as part of the rest of the country. They were very slow. So we were created. We were created with security officers learning first aid who were responding to the terror incidents, but they did not know how to treat a wound, a victim of terror. They didn't know how to apply bandages properly or how to handle first aid. You need to know stuff. And they started learning and training, and we formed them into this group called Hatzalah, which is rescuers of Judea and Samaria, Yehuda and Shamron. Today, we're 1,600 medics.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea. I'm so excited that we're getting all this information because living in America, we're used to, you call 911 and you've got an emergency truck. immediately with medics. So, wow, that must have been hard putting together. So, let me ask you this question. Now, if there's a car accident or a terror event, how does that system work and how busy? And this, of course, you have been busy, but we want to know really specifically how busy have you been since October 7th, 2023?
All right. You asked a few questions there. How does it work? People call 101. 101 is the National Emergency Service. You have 911. We have 101. 101 calls MADA, Magen David Adom. That's the National Response and Medical Service. That's the national one. We get those calls. We are essentially working hand in hand with them, and we are the Magen David Adom in Yehuda and Shomron. Now, you asked another good question. How busy have we been since October 7th? Well, I'll be honest with you. We have not changed anything. Nothing has really changed for us since October 7th. We always have terror here. We have the most terror here. October 7th was shocking because it happened in a place where they thought they had some peaceful neighbors. But here we never have peace. We have terror attacks all the time. I have some numbers here, and we had over 3,000 instances of terror last year, and that's not unusual. We have in the thousands, rock throwing incidents in the thousands. We have shooting attacks, 656. Bombs found, 259. Lasers shown in the eyes, 109. They shine lasers in the eyes of bus drivers to try to veer them off the road to cause an accident. There's so many crazy things that happen. They line rocks on the road sometimes so to force you to stop, and then they ambush you. I mean, there are all kinds of crazy things that happen here. Sometimes they put a burning tire on the road to force you to stop, and then they ambush you that way. There are lots of creative ways of terrorizing the population.
I just can't imagine living like that. And I admire you, Natalie, for being there. And I know my father was Jewish, but as a Jew, I know that it's important to go back to the homeland, to go back to Israel. And I've talked to so many people that have settled there and leaving the US or Canada or whatever. And it's very important to be there, to have that place, but it's still very hard living. And I know so many people that, it's just a normal thing to go into a bomb shelter while living there. So I am wondering, since these are medics, paramedics, and doctors that you're using, do they have other jobs, or are they supported by the donations that come in? And this is their job. Can you explain that?
Our medics they have regular jobs during the day, and they're medics as volunteers. So they have their beeper on during the day and at night, and they are organized to shifts. And so, yeah, this is not their job. They're volunteers. And we have mommies and daddies. And some people don't even have a job. They're looking for a job. But most people are adults. We don't have teenagers. This isn't a summer program. These are mature, trained adults who know how to handle an emergency medical situation.
Oh my goodness.
And
To know that they're all volunteers, Natalie, God bless them. And you're like, I love how you said mommies and daddies. It puts the whole area at such a risk if they lose a parent. So you sort of answered my next question. I was going to say, do your medical responders have to go through any training? Which you just said there are no teenagers on summer break. But if you could, just explain what they have to do before they can serve.
they do the course. It's a 6-month course, 220 hours, with the Magen David Adom medics in every capacity. That means burns, delivering a baby, administering fluids, CPR, tying up a wound. We even have now a campaign going for medics to get helmets and bulletproof vests, because we actually go in sometimes during a live active terror attack. We have that advantage because we're here. One thing that I guess I should have said at the beginning, and I think I try to, is our medics, you live here. They all live here in Judea and Samaria. Now, Judea and Samaria is a big area. It is 60% of all Israel. It's the middle. And there are 160 Jewish communities. making up about 600,000 Jews. Now, that's just the Jews. There are also Arabs. There are over 2 million Arabs. And there are dozens of communities. There are like 8 big Arab cities, and they spill out to villages. Now, why is the terror happening here? Clearly, it's them. Okay, this is Arab terror. I just want to make that clear. This is Arab terror. Now, we, Jews, have to buy special bulletproof glass for our windows. We have to carry weapons. Everyone is armed. When you get into the car here, you say Tefillat HaDerech, you say the Wayfarer's Prayer, and you don't get in the car quickly. You don't just get in the car for no reason. Every car ride out here in Judea and Samaria is a risk.
So you talked about this. It's just not safe. I have been to Israel 3 times, and I've delayed. I actually had an opportunity to go this fall, but it just didn't work out as far as timing goes. But a little nervous about going. Here you are living there every day. So many people living there every day. So when the sirens are going off there, and most people are finding cover in a bomb shelter, your folks with Hatzalah might have to brave the circumstances, as you said, and risk their lives just to save another life. Can you just share with us about the bravery of your volunteers?
Oh, they're amazing. Okay. They first of all, let me just say one thing. It's funny. I'm telling you about different terror attacks, but I live here and I raised my children here. And really, I don't feel that it's dangerous. And I'm not living here alone. I live in a community that when I came here in 2007 had 70 families. And today there are more than 200. And that's just one community. And that's in the southern Hebron Hills. Look at the Shomron. There are more than 60,000 Jewish citizens there. It is growing. There's a university there. Benjamin, huge community. Also, maybe almost 80,000 citizens there. More communities popping up all the time. So while, yes, there is terror, there is not fear. I am not afraid. All right? You asked about running for cover during the Iran missile attack and that type of thing. Yes, our rescuers are out there with helmets and vests during those attacks, helping people, clearing rubble. You know, sometimes they're clearing rubble and another one comes. I just want your listeners to know that some of these communities out here don't have shelters. Mine does. Mine has about 8 shelters. And the new homes that are built in Israel have a safe room in the home. So we don't have a new home. We have an old home. I don't want to run to the shelter. I think it's a pain. So we just crouch in the hallway in our bottom floor because our walls are so thick. They were built by Menachem Begin, and they are very thick concrete walls. So that's basically a bunker, in my opinion, and I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Now, there are some people, some communities don't have that. They live in caravans. There's one down the street from me, 100 families. All right. Each family has like 5 kids. That's 500 people on a mountaintop, one next to the other. These families live in RVs because they haven't been authorized to build homes yet. Well, they have been authorized. The homes are being built. All of a sudden, Iran decides to attack. They don't have any finished homes. So I went to visit them. They have no shelter. None. They are going to these homes that are under construction, and they are putting tents there under the first floor, under the home. You know how dangerous that is with nails and all that shot. It's just ridiculous. These people who have little kids have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's crazy, but the country, you know, it's going to get through this, and people, despite it all, you know, nobody's leaving.
Oh, Natalie, I just like Lisa said, I've been in Israel, and when you're there, I was never afraid, but I'm hearing such a different side, and we just got to pray for peace. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and it might bring back bad memories, but would it be okay if you spoke about the events of October 7th and what that day was like for your precious volunteers?
Good. October 7th I'll just tell you me. I've just so you can get an idea. I was at home with my family. It was Shabbat and it was Simchat Torah, a very big holiday, a very happy holiday. And at 7 in the morning, I was walking my dogs. We're an hour from Gaza. Just to give you an idea, we're an hour east. I was walking the dogs in the morning, hour far away, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was weather. I thought it was some kind of storm. And as I got to the house, I went in the house and my son was home, and I had 2 boys in the army at that time, and he was awake and in his uniform and talking on the phone. This was 8 in the morning, very unusual. Children, teenagers, I don't care how old they are not awake. It's 8 in the morning on Shabbat. They sleep till noon. So I was very confused. And we don't use our phones on Shabbat. We don't use any electricity. So that was strange. And he told me, Mom, they called me up. I've got to go in. And I thought, okay, this is weird, but hey, it's Gaza. Who knows? And then a couple hours later, we got a knock on our door, and 2 kids told us that there's a war and we need to stay in the house and get out our weapons and lock the door. And then my child who went to synagogue that day came home, and he said, Mommy, they said at synagogue that there was a big party and a bunch of terrorists got in and killed a bunch of people. And I thought he was making it up. I thought it was a lie. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Shut your mouth. That's not nice to say. Come help me make the salad and let's get ready for lunch. It sounded to me like a fantasy. And the day went on. All right. Now our rescuers they got notified very early in the morning, something not early enough. None of us were notified early enough, but they were notified, I think, around 8 o'clock. And they went down. Now, we don't live there. We don't live near the Gaza border. None of us. We all live in Yehuda and Sharon. But Israel is very small. All right. Like I told you, I'm an hour from the Gaza. So everyone's an hour, right? They got there. They got their ambulances, and whoever could get there, whatever vehicles they could grab, some of them in their own personal vehicles. And they went to the Shuva Junction, which you may hear of, because today now that's a place where they feed and have a station for people who come and help. But that's a junction in the street where they were be able to get in and out of Yishuvim, and they were able to treat people at that junction. And unfortunately, they treated 250 people in the space of 2 or 3 hours. And my director said it was just so awful, because you would see the soldiers going in, and then you see them coming out, and they were, what can I tell you, not alive. And they would come out just dying, and he would have to lay them down on the street and close their eyes for them and say the bracha for them. And it was just so awful to see. And he was there seeing them going in and out, knowing it was just a massacre. And what happened was, because we are not part of the national service, we can go in and we have that advantage. We're private. But the other ones, the Magen David Adom, they were not going in. They were waiting for permission. Just like years ago, they were waiting for permission to come into Yehuda and Sharon. They were waiting for permission to go into that area because it was an open terror zone. And it is, who am I to say what's right to do? But I joined this organization because we don't have those kind of constraints. And sometimes you just got to you throw caution to the wind and get in there and do what you got to do. If you believe it in your whole heart and you can, okay. Now, we're not, forcing people to go into a terror attack. But there are those very brave people who want to pull bodies and save lives, and they are burning with bravery. And, some of these people are young parents. And it's hard to comprehend. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. And some of these people, when you hear why they even became medics, you can understand. They all kinds of stories. But they're very special people. They're heroes. They are heroes.
They are. My dad was a physician, but I knew I could never do anything like that. I just wasn't designed to do it. I'm more of a creative. So I admire anyone who is in the medical field and who can go out, especially in those horrific kind of conditions. And since you said you were private, I'm not sure if you even coordinate your efforts with the IDF. Is there a system that you have with them, or do you have to communicate with anyone when you guys go into a scene like that?
Yes, when I meant private, I mean private funding. That's all. we're privately funded, so we don't need, and we're not bound by rules of engagement that others are, but we are in constant, of course, coordination with the IDF, and we're in coordination with Magen David Adom. But we have to be. We actually train IDF medics.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh my goodness. And I love I love the heart of this organization that you're a part of. Um and the other thing that just touches my heart, and you mentioned it earlier, but Natalie, you have three sons in the IDF. So what is that like for you as a mother, especially with things so tense in Israel now, and then we don't know what's going to happen even tomorrow?
It's not easy. One of them is out. He's finished. So now I have two, and it's not easy. And it's something I don't think about too much, to be honest with you, because it's scary. So just like I told you, the medics who run in, they don't really think of fear. It's something that drives them. Well, if you think of fear and you think of what if, what can be, we wouldn't have a state of Israel. So I don't think of it. And my sons are very brave, and they were raised here. And here in Susia, in Judea and Samaria, you may know that we have a very, very high percentage of fighters. And it's the culture to be a fighter, to be a big, brave fighter. That's what they want to be. There's nothing I can do or say to change that. And I can't I don't want to discourage them or what they're doing. I want to be proud of them. It's something I wasn't raised with. We don't have a military family, and everybody here is real gung ho, and you kind of just shut your mouth and go along with it.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? Because young people have to serve in the military in Israel, and so as a mom, you just have to let go and let them do that. And I'm sure you pray a lot for their safety and their protection. Glad one's out, and so hopefully it won't be too long before the other two are able to, serve their time and be out safe. And even though you seem to have enough work in Israel right now, Hatzalah Without Borders also responds to emergency events outside of Israel. Can you share an example of that?
We have a team of international medics that when there is a catastrophe somewhere in the world, we can get a medic team together and go. And the most recent one that I remember was in Turkey. There was an earthquake in Turkey, I think February 2022, maybe it was February 2023. And we were there. I think we were there within 17 hours. We take a team that has a second passport so that there's no issue. Some countries don't want Israelis to get in there. Turkey, for instance, wouldn't let Israelis in, but everybody who went on our team, and it's a small team. We take a team of 5 people. We got in there and we saved people from that earthquake. There were a lot of people buried under the rubble, and it was freezing cold. It was February. And they've been doing that for a long time. I actually have a short list here of the different countries we've been to help them. Mali, Burma, Guadalupe, Ethiopia, Nepal, the Philippines, Kenya, Haiti, Morocco, and even Miami. When those towers fell, we went there too. We have the ability to go quickly and not need to wait for government permission because we are a private NGO.
Oh my goodness. My heart is just so filled with compassion for you and what you do, and you go into places where people don't want you, but you go. So Natalie, I think this is so important for our listeners. How can people here in the United States help Hatzalah? I think this is a great way for those who love the state of Israel to make a difference.
It is a great way, and I'm so glad and grateful for you to give me this platform, because one thing we don't do is spend money on public relations or commercials. We don't do any of that. All our donations go to equipment and training. And when I say equipment, I'm talking about medic bags with defibrillators in them. I'm talking about motorcycles. I'm talking about vests, helmets, and vests. All our money goes to equipment and training. And we don't have money to spend on fancy donor dinners or PR campaigns. And so this is great. So we have a website. It's a very easy way to donate. If you're comfortable donating online, it's www. I think we just lost a network connection. I'll say it anyway. www. Spell Hatzalah for your listeners. It's HATZALAH.org.il. Now, we are Hatzalah, Yehuda, and Shomron. There are probably 50 different Hatzalahs in Israel. All right, so it's very important that you write to us, because you're going to see on the page Hatzalah, Judea and Samaria. There's Hatzalah Beit Shemesh, Hatzalah B'nai Barak, Hatzalah Jerusalem. There are lots of them. In America also there are lots of them. There's Hatzalah Chicago, Hatzalah New York, Hatzalah Miami. It's like you said at the beginning, it means rescue. We have an English name that is Rescuers Without Borders. And that is what we use internationally, because people were sometimes so against Judea and Samaria, we had to change the name to get into those countries. So you can remember Rescuers Without Borders. And that's easy to remember. You can look us up. Again, we're at hatzalah.org.il.
I would just thank you so much, Natalie Sopinsky, and for joining us here on Pop Talk. I know we had a few technical problems, but I think people will be able to understand the majority of this interview. And it's so important in my mind. It's so important for people to understand what's really going on there, and a lot about this organization that is doing such great work there in Israel, especially during this difficult season. And I want you to know that we support you, and our prayers are always with you. So I know Natalie gave some information, but we're going to give it again. If you want to reach out to Natalie, you can find her at her website, nataliesopensky.com. Or if you want to donate to Hatzalah, that website is hatzalah.org.il. hatzalah.org.il.
Thank you, Lisa. And we would love for you to connect with us at Pearls of Promise Ministries. You can email us at info@pearlsofpromiseministries.com. We'd love for you to like us on Facebook at Pearls of Promise Ministries. Follow us on X at Pop Talk Media, or at Pearls of Promise, or on Instagram at pop_ministries. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is at Pearls of Promise Ministries. And that way you can view all our past Pop Talk television and radio shows and our award-winning documentaries. They all fight anti-Semitism. Now, Lisa and I also have a great new award-winning devotional book out called Treasure, and we'd love for you to go to Amazon and look that up.
So that is Pop Talk for today. We're just ordinary girls
Who God turned into pearls. Have a blessed day.